Alafia. It's Ianifa Owini Adina Faomi Shangu. And I hadn't said anything on this topic or stitched any videos because I wasn't sure what I wanted to say. So I'm going to start with this and I'm going to open up with big old trigger warning. Sixth grade, sixth, seventh grade, get Super Mario Brothers. A friend hits me up. I'm excited. And I tell him, yo, I got the new Mario Brothers. Do you want to come play? And I'm wearing a white tee, black sweatpants, and black Nike Forces. And he assaults me. 18, I was probably a little older than that. So I'll say like 19, 20 years old. And I'm staying with a friend and some other friends come by. And I'm sitting in a room with said friends that we have hung out all this time. And they attempt to gang assault me. Somebody that claimed to have loved me dearly came home to me and in a drunken stupor tried to choke me. Met someone that happened to be a colleague at my job at the time through a dating app. They wanted me to autograph, they bought my book, they wanted me to autograph their book. And I will say that I somehow managed to leave there not being assaulted. Somebody that I went through a accepting friends on Facebook spree, and they were mutuals. They were friends with a lot of people I was friends with. So I was like, okay, maybe there was somebody I went to school with and I don't remember them. And at one point, apparently they were having a conversation with a mutual of mine, and the mutual basically inadvertently alluded to where I live. They ended up messaging me on Facebook and telling me they were coming to my house, even though I don't actually know them and I didn't invite them. And when I tried to tell them that I was seeing someone, that I had a boyfriend, they proceeded to basically say, I don't care, I'm still coming. And so I spent weeks being afraid every time the house was empty and it was just me, that someone was going to come to my house. And so much so that there were lights pointing from another house, and I thought someone was trying to get into my house, and I had a panic attack. I say all this to say that it's only but for my spiritual practice, most likely, then I am not inherently afraid of men. And I know the men that are closest to me, and I have very great many Black men that are protective, that will look after me if I hit them with 911. The complete opposite end of the spectrum is something was going on in the cul-de-sac that I live in, and my neighbor is a soldier, and he came over because his wife and kids were gone. He came over to make sure me and my sons were okay and stood in my house armed and ready to protect us should anything pop off in the cul-de-sac. So I understand my brothers that say, but I wouldn't, and I get it, but your silence is deafening. See, if I'll use the most recent incident with a gentleman trying to come to my house. If y'all were just acknowledge that some of your friends and your family members are horrible humans and are a danger to women, then it wouldn't have been so easy for my friend, who I know loves and cares about me, to give my information to someone without thinking that in 2023 it's possible that this person might be a problem for women. I love y'all, and I say this, you can't be so hung up on who you are that you don't recognize that there are bad people in this world, and everybody don't have the same intentions as you. Much like we as Black people tell white people we don't want them to be allies, we want them to be accomplices. As Black women, we need our Black brothers to come back to being an accomplice with us. You can't be so hung up on not being able to see that that is a problem for women, especially your sisters. When we have gone through all this stuff with you, to be able to say that we are afraid of that which should be the most, that should protect us the most. And understanding that when you are still holding on to Master's whip, you've taken Master's whip away, but instead of setting it on fire and reclaiming that which is truly yours, you're trying to claim what was theirs. Recognize that unless you are a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, stop calling yourself an alpha man, because outside of that area, that should only be used for wolves, animals. And you are not that. You are not an animal. You are not cattle. There is no reason to define yourself as such. Recognize that some of y'all sat across from the lunch table from guys that were assaulting girls when y'all were in middle school. Recognize that some of your homeboys, you knew for a fact that when they were 18, they were dating little girls, and you said nothing. So if now in your adulthood, you have come to the realization that, yo, that was weird and that was wrong and that probably shouldn't have been happening, then make the decision to be an accomplice. Don't get so hung up in that, oh, well, it wouldn't be me. Okay, cool, it wouldn't be you, but what you gonna do about your homeboy that it would be? First and foremost, is he still your homeboy? And if so, why? Because y'all quick to tell women the company you keep says a lot about you. And if the company you're keeping are stalkers and rapists and molesters, what does that say about you? Because if you don't want to be considered in that category, why are you still hanging out with them? When I was younger, I used to always hear that if men went to prison for certain acts against women and children, that the men in the prison would handle it. Why you gotta wait to prison to be handled? Why y'all not being handled now? If I have to consider the men in my life that I love, my dad, my uncles, my beau, my homeboys, and things of that nature, I feel very safe around those men. But I still, when I'm walking to my car, have my key pointed in such a way that I could gouge somebody's eye out. I still look to see if there's somebody in my car. I still am watching my court because low-key still probably wondering about somebody coming to my house, even though I've long since blocked them on Facebook. I am fortunate enough to have practical reasoning in terms of protection, but I also have the ability to spiritually protect myself and have that affect me in the physical realm. But not all women have that. No, and that the reality is that we need our accomplices back. And if I say this and it makes you feel some kind of way, then you should do some inner work and find out why this made you feel some kind of way. Because nobody's attacking you. We're calling you to task. No one's attacking you. We're calling you to task. Just like we call everyone else to task. We're calling you to task. It's not about who you date. It's how you act when you date them. It's not about anything other than if you see, like, if you see that your homeboy is problematic, and then you hear a conversation about men being problematic, recognizing when you see the problem. I am raising young gods, and I know that when they get older, that they will be in a space where if a woman had to choose a bear of them, they're going to choose my sons. But if your daughters really knew who you were, knew who you were when you grew up, would they choose you?